Hi and welcome to this video. So in this lesson I'm going to show you how I created this art journal page, which is a collage master sheet, something that you can just play in your art journal and create a sheet like this, a collage master sheet that you can take a photograph and then print out and create multiple copies in the future and then use it in your art journal, or in your other collage projects. You can use it in so many multiple ways, and that adds such a good depth and texture in your art, right? Okay, so I'm going to start with a handful of collage materials. These are just brown paper bags which I have done some scribbling, mark making, painting, doodling on the other side. These are simple like trash bags that can be converted to beautiful collage materials. These are old book pages, again brown papers. These are just some simple copy papers, printer papers, where I have done some black mark making. This is a palette paper. It's basically a butter paper I use as a palette, and rest all of these are old book pages. This is an inky book page, um, where I drip paint and make marks on top of it. So these are like some of the handful of collage materials that I have picked up the collage materials in the color theme that I want, which is mostly black and white with a little bit of brown and beigeish touch, like that vintage color touch. Okay, and this is my A4 spiral journal. Now all I will do is a very playful way of tearing up these papers and placing it all around my journal, and trying to see what looks good next to what. There is a bit of composition ideas that comes into play here, because I've done this so much time. It comes naturally to me, but it's not a huge requirement for creating these collage master sheets. What I want you to do is, tear out bits and pieces from your collage papers. You can even use just vintage ephemera. I have a lot on my website that you can download for free: postcards, ephemera, letters, old letters, newspaper prints. I have so much I can't even remember, and I have so many of the collage master sheets also like this over there. So you can just print them out, tear them out, or if you don't already have collage materials like this, which you can obviously create, which is so much fun. But you just print them out and then tear them up. Don't keep them whole sheet. It's very it is very difficult to tear them later. So print it out, tear it up, keep in your collage stash, and then all you do is tear up small pieces of paper like this, and then place it around. One thing that I like to do is tear up in three pieces and put in three different shapes. So I don't like to tear my shapes of the collage in the exact same shape. So I try to give different shapes, like if, say for example, in the black that you see on my sketchbook page, it's the same black page but of three different shapes and sizes, right? So that is one of the basic composition rule that I can tell you. If you have variety in your collage pieces, that gives a lot of interest to your master sheet or in your collage work, right? But here it doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's a basic principle, but it's not really necessary here. If you know it, you can apply it. Otherwise, just have fun. I really enjoy this process of tearing and arranging things. It's basically you're just moving things around and seeing what looks good next to what. So if you see, I'm trying to place the brown papers next to the vintage color papers, next to the black, and place them randomly, how whatever suits my aesthetic vision. So everybody will have a different way of liking, so just place it around. So this is a thing that I do for a long time, and I am not going to fast forward this video, because I want you to watch this and see how I do. I think I take a lot of time to do this, so I am going to keep it. If you some of you might not want to watch this, so you can fast forward to the area where I am gluing it. But I think this is the main main step of this process, moving pieces around and seeing what you like. So I'm going to continue doing this for some more time, and you can watch me do this and also do along with me because it's so much fun doing this. So at this step, I realized that I cannot decide all the things on the top until these big pieces go in the back. So what I do here is normally take a photo of these papers, this arrangement, and then keep the photo in front of me, and then look at it, remove the pieces, look at the image, and then put it back together. So I'll just start applying glue to all the pieces, and now just place it as I have arranged it initially. Now here I'm using a glue stick. I normally use change between glue stick and liquid glue or matte medium, depending on when I want to apply paint on top. So in this one, I will not be adding any paint over, except making a few marks with paint. So that's why I am using a glue stick, because when you paint over it, a glue stick, I realized that the collaging with the glue stick is not that great. Okay, as in the when you want to add paint, the collages start to come off or get wrinkled up and all of that. So but if I'm doing just collage and no painting on top, then glue stick is excellent. If you are adding just a few marks of paint, then it's totally fine. That's why in this one I am using just a glue stick. Okay, until now I have been following the photograph that I have taken, the initial placement, but at this point I start to change things. So when the most of the papers have been glued, now I start moving small things around and start to see how what I can place where, because earlier I was not able to do this when the big pieces were not glued, so it was kind of difficult to move around the small pieces on top, because that will move the big pieces underneath. But at this point, when the like almost 95% of the collages are done, is when I start to move things around and see how I can change things and place more of the smaller collage pieces on top. Okay, now this black piece is quite big. I could easily do some white mark making on top, but then I like to include stitching also as part of my mark making. So I'm going to stitch it a little bit with white thread, just simple run stitches, nothing fancy. So some earlier I used to think that I have to do some complicated stitching for it to have an impact, but then I realized just having little bit of stitches actually makes a lot of difference. So you don't have to do a lot of stitching, just the basic simple stitching is going to go a long way to create impact in your work. So this is a choice. If you want to do mark making with white, you can definitely do with white pens or white needle tip applicator, because the needle tip applicator will create a thick texture. The reason I don't use it is because it takes time to dry. This one is under my control. I can do it and immediately start gluing, and I don't have to wait for it. So I don't like to wait a lot while working in my pieces. So that's why until I'm doing like a proper painting where I'm working on a big scale, and there's a lot of weight paint, it will take time to dry, that's fine. But on a small substrate like this, a A4 page, I don't have the patience to use too much of liquid paint and then wait for it to dry to do the next layers. So stitching is a rescue to that. If I do stitching, then I can quickly make marks and have an impact at the same time. And I decided to do a few French knots in this one. This is the daily paper with black paint. Daily paper is not that thick, right? It's very thin, but since I have a little bit of paint on it, it's not that bad. But of course, I'm like holding it really carefully so that it doesn't tear. Sometimes it does tear, and that's okay. You just do it anyway. Up to you. I really like the way these small stitches are appearing in my art. And I'm adding this smaller pieces, the smaller collage elements, book pages with mark makings. They add so much of these marks. So these kind of marks you can do on top of this painting while you're doing, or you can, like I have done, do in advance and keep it, use it in your collage so that you don't have to make marks. So for me, it's like I have to have a, like, when I'm doing mark making, I just want to do mark making. I just want to do one thing at a time. And when I'm doing collage, I don't want to think about mark making except a bit of stitches. But this stitching also is something not that I normally do. I normally do it in clusters beforehand and keep it with me, and then use that in these kind of things, where the stitches are already there and I just have to glue it. So when I'm collaging, I just want to focus on collaging and nothing else. When I'm doing mark making, I only want to focus on mark making. And when I'm doing stitching, I want to do just stitching. So that is how I work. I'm just giving you all my tricks that I do that helps me create more. Okay, now that all the paper pieces have been added, I have taken out my fabric basket, which has little scraps of fabrics, and I am adding, or rather layering with another layer of fabric on top of this. um, this again, if I use clusters which already has fabrics, I can use the cluster pieces and the fabrics will automatically come on top. But here, since I don't have any clusters right now, and I wanted to show you how to do it from scratch. Here is a fabric piece you saw, which has some fringe knots already done on it. So you can create this kind of small clusters or small fabric pieces with some stitches on it in advance, that you can collage when you are working on collage master sheets like this. This is a piece of lace. You can add no, this is a gauze, it's not a lace, but I have a lot of lace pieces also, which I buy from Amazon. It's like a fabric piece, and then you can tear it up and use it in your collages. So I love adding this layer is something like, translucent layers of fabrics. The black is not translucent though, a little bit of black or white, or muslin, linens, and different types of things. So here also I added a little bit of stitches. I felt like adding stitches, so I just wanted to take my time and do all the stitches and stuff. So struggling a little bit with the threads getting attached to the thread, but yeah, these things are part of stitching when you work with this kind of collaging and stitching together. But it's all fun, it's all play. The whole process is a play. That's what I want you to understand, get from this, that I'm not trying to create a perfect composition, a perfect painting, a perfect outcome. The outcome hardly matters, because when you play like this, whatever, because this is a master sheet that we're trying to create, right? So it does not matter how it looks, because we are going to tear it up, or even if we don't tear it and use it as a journal page, we are going to do stuff on top of this. So it doesn't matter whether how perfect this looks at the end. So what matters is, this is a great project to practice your playfulness, your creativity, and just do the things that you want to do. It's all about giving yourself permission to do this. None of it matters. So here the fringe knots are not perfect, as in there's a little bit of loop hanging out, and that's totally fine. That's all what I mean, I'm telling you all of this because when I started doing all of these few years back, I used to be really bothered by these things, like, if things were not perfect. But gradually, after many years of practice, I've realized it really doesn't matter. What matters is you're having fun, you're feeling the joy of doing this. So, this process, that's why when I do this, I generally don't talk, and I'm doing a voiceover later, because when I'm doing, I am in such a zone that I don't feel like talking. And I'm like absolutely immersed into the process of creating and moving things around. It's like a puzzle for me, like how you would I don't know if you did that as a kid, that like there was those puzzle pieces that you get and you put it together to form a bigger piece. I used to love playing that as a kid, and for me collage is a little bit like that. It's like moving pieces around to form something beautiful together. And normally what I've seen is, so now you would say I don't know how to put things together to make it look beautiful or good, create good composition. What I want to tell you is that it does not matter. When you put these little pieces together, it is bound to look beautiful. That's like a guarantee. Here is a little fabric piece, which has little, it's a dress actually. It was a dress of mine, where I have done little black mark making with a sponge, end of the makeup sponge. You will see me using that sponge a little later, which I get the idea from this mark, that I wanted to do a little bit of that mark with white on top of this cluster. But yeah, I create these kind of fabrics in advance and have them. This is part of my mark making session. So sometimes I have a session of mark making on papers. Sometimes I have a session of mark making with fabrics, and keep them ready in my collage stash. And then you pull them out a little bit, and then put it together to create a master sheet like this. Okay, so these small pieces of fabrics, I'm again taking a picture of this so that I can remove them and remember where I placed it. Now I'm just making some doodling with pencil. This I like to do because it feels like these collage pieces are not separate. Even though they are fragments, they came from fragments. It's like tying everything together. This is why we normally blend the edges of the collages with paint, which I'm going to do a little later. But this pencil marks, doing the whole pencil marks over the entire collage, also gives that feeling of a cohesion. Okay, here is my bunch of mark making papers on tissue papers. I'm going to use that a little later. This is another layer, you could say, a third layer coming on top. Okay, so here is, I got my sponge, makeup sponge that I was talking about, and I'm dipping it in white, and you will see me adding it on the joining of two collage pieces. Wherever I feel they are looking a bit disjointed, that's where I'm gonna add a few of these marks to make them like tied, look tied. You can think of these as like a stitching of two collage pieces together. So this is like a big thread mark, which is kind of like tying pieces together. So I'm mostly adding it in the joinings, and also kept the fabric so that I know where the fabrics are gonna come. Okay, here I am adding little bit of color with the finger white and joining the two pieces wherever I feel a lot of it's not looking like joint. This is the gauze over which I'm adding just a bit of paint to highlight the texture. Okay, this is a black mark making, like scribbling. This is something that I learned from Robin Marie. She does these marks a lot, and I love doing this mark. I learned it from her first time. It's such a simple mark, but who would think of doing this with a big brush on a paper, on a copy paper, right? So I am cutting it up, and this creates really beautiful effect. So now I'm gonna go with some smaller pieces. These are more of like embellishment layer, I would say, where you are adding bits and pieces over the whole layers. How many layers have we done? We have done one big layer, like big pieces collages, then small pieces collages, then we added some fabrics or papers with stitches, so that was the third layer. Then we did a layer of mark making with pencils and paint, that is the fourth layer. And now we are going with the fifth layer, where we are adding some embellishment collage pieces. So I'm going to just move it around and see where I like it. I like it much. So can you see, this is like a E, continuous E, and it looks so good when you put it on top of the collages, right? And this is where my tissue papers will also come in handy, all the black tissue black mark making on tissue papers that you see on my right side. So I will add those as well. These are like small translucent pieces that you add as kind of like an embellishing layer on the top. So this is going to be the final layer. There is not much is going to happen after that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed seeing me create this page and it gave you some inspiration to do this on your own. I really want you to do this and and have the joy of creating this. It's so easy. It doesn't have to look beautiful at the end, but it will. I guarantee that. So all you have to do is take out your collage pieces and put it together, right? And the best part is what I did is next I took a photo of this just like the way I took the previous photo and just printed it out. And look at this beautiful printout. It just looks so, look at these textures. It looks like the threads are popping out from the paper, but it's not. It's on the paper. There's no texture. It looks like texture, but it's not. And look at this image. It's gorgeous, right? Look at both of these side by side, how they look. So they look just the same. I love how it is. You can do it once, you can take printouts multiple times and use it in your other art project. So I did one more smaller one just to try out the colors first, and then I did on a big page. By the way, this page is a painting of mine. It was a photocopy paper where I did printout of my old paintings, my landscape paintings. Both of these paintings are classes on my website. In case you are interested in trying them out, you can go and look at them. But here it is, my master sheet and the printout together. I hope you enjoyed and learned something and you are going to give it a try. Thank you for watching this video. And in the next video, what I'm going to show you is, all these small pieces of collage papers that are lying around on my table. Like, all the small pieces that I tore the big pieces, and there are so many small pieces lying around, right? So normally what I do is I used to put them in my scrap basket and then take them out in some point in the future to use them in collages, but that never happens, right? And the scrap basket is getting fuller by the day. So what I realized is, instead of putting them together, all I do is spend like half an hour more after my actual collage process has been done, and I put these small pieces together and create clusters. So this is what I'm going to show you in my next video, so that after you finish a collage process, just pick up all the small pieces, put them together, put two together, that's all, 2 or 3, up to you, as much time you have. Start putting them together and you are going to create some beautiful clusters that you can use in your next collage project.